Today's ceremony affords us to showcase a one-of-a-kind celebration with the colors of the different major units of the Philippine Army being featured in what tagged as the Parade of Colors. Let us now witness the entry of the major unit colors from the entire Philippine Army. Historically, anniversary celebrations are flagged with troops for a parade. However, for this anniversary celebration, since we are still on a global health crisis, we forego of such distinct tradition. The troops are represented by the unit symbols, the flag or standard, which symbolizes the identity of a unit. It is being treated with reverence as it represents honor and tradition. The entry of the different unit colors in one direction symbolizes that all are in unison, having one identity as one force, forming as one, regardless of the differences in belief and where one comes from. All are geared towards unity and peace, moving on with one goal, kapayapaan para sa lahat. Taking a glimpse of the Philippine Army's history, its inception was born out of Filipinos' will to survive as a people against the Spanish colonizers. The Revolutionary Army was established on March 22, 1897 under Capitan General Artemio G. Ricarte with the purpose of achieving freedom for the Philippines from the Spaniards and later from the Americans in what was termed as a protracted war. The gains of the Revolutionary Army against the Spaniards reached its optimum with General Emilio Aguinaldo's siege of the Spanish fortress guarding Manila. This action compelled the Spaniards to make a secret agreement with the Americans, and thus the Katipuneros who were waiting for the Spaniards to surrender had to contend with a continuation of the conflict, this time against the Americans. The Revolutionary Army struggle pursued under the leadership of General Emilio Aguinaldo, General Artemio Ricarte, and General Pio del Pilar. The establishment of the Commonwealth of the Philippines under the tutelage of the United States in 1936 gave birth to the Commonwealth Army. Under the able leadership of Field Marshal Douglas MacArthur, the Commonwealth Army swelled in number, and at the outbreak of the World War II, these army, especially the Philippine Scouts, gained distinction in the war. The country then gained full independence in 1946. On achieving democracy and independence, several Philippine Army battalion combat teams were committed under the United Nations during the Korean War in the 1950s. The Philippine Expeditionary Force to Korea participated actively throughout the war. In 1954, for the first time, the Army was involved in counterinsurgency operations against the pro-communist Hukbalahap. Though the Army was involved in the conduct of counterinsurgency operations at home, it sent troops to Vietnam for a mission of peace in the form of the Philippine Civic Action Group in the 1960s. It also provided invaluable service of country's defense against the internal threats from insurgents and secessionists and in the United Nations-sponsored peacekeeping missions. Through the years, the Philippine Army has evolved into a multifunctional force equally adept at combat and non-combat missions. It will continue to be a source of national pride, fighting its battles and facing the challenges for the nation's security and progress.
Bye-bye. 간다. 업! harap sa kaliwa.
Your Philippine Army, 125 years of championing peace while serving the people and securing the land. As we move on with the ceremony, we shall have the entry of the national color.
Handa. Dala. Alis. Palapunan. Mga likod ko. Cut. Handa! Dala! Utuan! Palapunan. Baba. Alis.
Everyone is enjoined to stand for the entry of the national flag. A national flag represents and symbolizes a nation, an identity. It symbolizes patriotism, love of country, and national solidarity. It embodies the aspirations and sentiments of the Filipino people in their unceasing quest for freedom and independence. It stands as instrument of unity that binds the Filipino people as one. The flag must be given reverence and respect at all times. As you'll observe, its unit color shows respect by dipping as the national symbol passes by. The flag embodies the country's ideals and traditions, expresses the principles of sovereignty and loyalty for the country. The Philippine flag is rich in colorful history that depicts our forefathers' courage, gallantry, and bravery in defense of the country against foreign aggression. It was in Kawit, Cavite on June 12, 1898, that the official hoisting of the Philippine flag took place during the proclamation of the Philippine independence by General Emilio Aguinaldo. The same flag was flown with dignity during the inauguration of Malolos Congress on September 15, 1898. The flag stood as witness to the glorious events of our history. It encountered the most significant events in the Filipino struggle for freedom. And since it symbolizes our ideals and sentiments as a nation, it deserves to be treated with solemnity and dignity. For a soldier, a flag is the reflection of his honor and duty as he serves the country. He who falls defending his flag certainly does not believe that he has sacrificed himself for a piece of cloth, but rather it communicates and activates key emotional dispositions of pride and patriotism. Every soldier ensures that the flag must be defended at all times, being our nation's symbol of strength and power. Amidst the threats and challenges the country faces, due respect must be accorded. Never let it touch the ground, let it wave boldly. As the flag also stands for peace, honor, and justice, in a soldier's heart he knew that the time will come for him to do whatever it takes to protect his country's freedom and independence, uphold its democratic institutions, and even make the ultimate sacrifice without hesitation. Doing this is not for personal glory, but as a steadfast commitment in serving the people and securing the land.
Alapunan. Handa. Dala. Alis. Baba. Handa! Harap!
The troop commander for this ceremony is Lieutenant Colonel Jamal N. Bonza, Executive Officer, Security and Escort Battalion, Installation Management Command, Philippine Army.
Ino! Ang mga watawat, ang hukbong katiyan ng Pilipinas, ay narito po lahat!
Please remain standing for the invocation to be led by the Army Chief Chaplain, Colonel Roy L. Ungao.
Manalangin tayo. Tigib ng pasasalamat at pagbubunyi ang aming puso na nagpupuri sa iyo, O Panginoong Diyos, sa pagdiriwang ng ika-125 anibersaryo ng pagkatatag ng hukbong katihan ng Pilipinas. Pinagpala mo ang aming pagtitipon ngayon sa biyaya ng presensya ng bawat isang narito. Maraming salamat, Panginoon. Tunay mo kaming itinaguyod sa mga biyaya ng iyong pagkilos sa amin sa hukbong katihan. Marami pong salamat sa mga taong sugo mo sa aming mga multi-sectoral advisory board at mga iba't ibang ahensya at samahan na naging katuwang namin. Maraming salamat din sa biyaya ng mga suporta ng aming pamunuan sa militar, ng aming pamahalaan, at ng aming mga kakilala at pamilya. Maraming salamat sa kanilang tulong, gabay at inspirasyon na nagpatibay sa amin at nagpasigla ng aming pagkilos upang makamit ang maraming tagumpay sa patuloy na pakikibaka para sa kapayapaan. At sa pagkakataong ito ay aming isinasaalala ang aming mga kasamahang nasawi at napinsala sa pakikibakang ito. Atin silang taimtim na ipagdasal sandali at ng kanilang pamilya. At sa aming pagsulong bilang iyong mga lingkod sa hukbong katihan, hinihiling po namin ang iyong patuloy na pagkilos sa aming gitna upang matahak namin ang tamang landas ng pagganap at patuloy na mapaunlad ang aming hanay. Patuloy mo rin nawa kaming biyayaan ng mga kinakailangang kagamitan at dunong upang matugunan namin ng nararapat ang tawag ng aming kapanahunan. Mapanatili nawa ang magandang kaisahan na nararanasan at ang pasyon at pagmamahal sa iyong pagtawag sa amin sa buhay paglilingkod bilang kawal at kawani sa aming hukbong katihan. At para sa aming lahat, iyo nawa kaming akayin sa pamumuhay na malugod at sang-ayon sa iyong kalooban. Bukawin mo nawa ang hangaring magkaisa at magdamayan sa ikalulutas ng mga suliraning pangkapayapaan at patuloy na lingapin upang ligtas sa anumang kapahamakan at panganib sa buhay. Papuri sa iyo, Panginoon, ngayon at magpakailanman. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. Mabuhay! Isang malugod na pagbati sa inyong lahat na aming mga pinagpipitagan ng mga panauhin. Today we take pride in celebrating the 125th founding anniversary of the Philippine Army with the theme Kapayapaan para sa lahat. On this occasion, every man and woman, the Filipino soldiers of the premier branch of service of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, the Philippine Army, manifests the solemn pledge in pursuit of peace as he serves the Filipino nation and its people. To open up today's ceremony with his address is the Commanding General of the Philippine Army, Lieutenant General Romeo Saturnino Browner Jr.
Isang mainit, ngunit maganda at mapayapang hapon sa ating lahat. I would like first to greet the Secretary of the Department of National Defense, the Honorable Delphine Negrillo Lorenzana. Sir? He is here with his lovely wife, Ma'am Edith. Ma'am. Let me also greet the National Security Advisor, Secretary Hermogenes C. Esperon Jr. The Secretary of DILG, Secretary Eduardo Año. The Vice Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, Lieutenant General Erickson R. Gloria. Of course, I would like to greet my wife, Mrs. Melody Mariel V. Browner, and my mother-in-law, Mrs. Glorieta Valeros. The other cabinet secretaries, undersecretaries, and other dignitaries present, former commanding generals of the Philippine Army, and may I request them to kindly stand up to be recognized, sirs. The major service commanders, law enforcement agency chiefs, Philippine Army major unit commanders, general officers, our foreign armed forces and defense attachés, valued stakeholders and partners in nation building, other officers, guests, ladies and gentlemen, enlisted personnel, civilian human resource, the gallant men and women of the Philippine Army, your Philippine Army, ladies and gentlemen, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. On this day, exactly 125 years ago, our forefathers raised an army in pursuit of a dream, forged by the desire to free our people from the shackles of colonialism, driven by the shared aspiration of self-determination as an independent nation. Against the odds, they fought with a brand of courage and determination that the world has come to know today as distinctly Filipino. As we look back at the Philippine Army's storied history, it is but fitting to pay homage to a heritage of heroism displayed by the legendary warriors that predate our country's first revolutionary forces, of heroism that we, as the Filipino people, shall take great pride and derive inspiration from. From the likes of Lapu-Lapu, Raha Sulaiman, Sultan Kudarat, and Francisco Dagohoy, our ancestors across our lands have gifted us not only with more than a vibrant and diverse culture, but it has also bestowed on us the finest tradition of soldiery characterized by valor, gallantry, and most of all, compassion as warriors and heroes. The story of our warriors and heroes past is not just their story, but the very history of the Philippine Army is a great part of our story as Filipinos. From the secret meeting halls of the Katipunan that gave birth to the Philippine Revolutionary Army, over the years, our soldiers have seen action inside and outside our shores, as they have always showed the best of who we are as a people. From the Pacific theater of the Second World War in 1941 to the Philippine Expeditionary Forces to Korea, or PEFTOC, that earned us the moniker the Fighting Filipinos during the 1950s, to Vietnam, where we sent the Philippine Civic Action Group in the 1970s, and to the conflict-ridden areas across the globe to serve as United Nations peacekeeping forces. Throughout our archipelago, your Philippine Army continues to fight against threats to our nation, from the secessionists and insurgents to the local terrorist groups and other lawless elements, to the natural calamities. We have stayed strongly committed to doing our share in the accomplishment of the Armed Forces of the Philippines mission as we develop, organize, train, equip, support, and sustain Army forces for the conduct of prompt and sustained ground operations, while we stay true to our sworn mandate of serving the people and securing the land, never losing sight of our pledge to deliver our end of the goal. Our end goal of kapayapaan para sa lahat. 125 years have seen the Philippine Army evolve from a ragtag revolutionary force into that of a modern, agile, adaptive, and credible defense army today. Hence, let us pay tribute to the remarkable life and legacies of the commanders of the Philippine Army, whose leadership and guidance have helped shape our organization into what it is today, one of the most trusted government institutions in our nation. At this point, it is my distinct honor to recognize the previous commanding generals of the Philippine Army. Sirs, may I again request you to stand up to be recognized? Sirs? Thank you. At 100,000 strong, your Philippine Army stands on the shoulders of giants, our noble predecessors, whose invincible courage and indomitable spirit have realized our people's dreams of a free and independent nation. Many have given the ultimate sacrifice. Hence, we honor those who have laid down their lives for others. We also acknowledge the invaluable contributions of our Medal for Valor recipients, who will continue to serve as inspirations for generations to come. May I request our Medal for Valor awardees to kindly stand up to be applauded by everyone. We also recognize our awardees for serving as our exemplars of excellence and for demonstrating that we can confront even the most daunting challenges. May I request our awardees who will be awarded in a while to kindly stand up to be recognized. Thank you. For the past year, the Philippine Army has certainly transformed and performed its mandate. And despite the many challenges, it has adapted and responded to the trial of the times. To maintain the high state of morale and welfare of our soldiers, the most fundamental component of the Philippine Army, we have ensured the institutionalization of the Army's comprehensive mental health program with establishment of the Trauma Risk Management Centers and Mental Health Resiliency Desks Army-wide. We have also prioritized the physical well-being of our personnel and their family with the implementation of the Army-wide vaccination program in our country, which has considerably decreased the number of COVID-19 related cases in our organization. While we have achieved significant strides in our relentless focused military operations, we have also enhanced our training and education programs for the Army to remain highly responsive and adaptive to the ever-evolving security landscape. We have also ensured that our troops are provided with mission-essential equipment, quality resources, and the conducive working conditions through the enhancement of facilities such as military treatment facilities in our PA major units. Further, we have procured force protection equipment for our troops to bolster their warfighting capabilities at the battlefield. We have started our first ever air casualty evacuation capability, which we have demonstrated yesterday. Equally vital is our provision of several very small aperture terminals or VSATs and the other communication systems for our units, especially those deployed at the forward operating detachments. In fact, this mission essential equipment ensures the real-time reporting and communication of our troops who are assigned in far-flung areas to their unit commanders. In effect, this has enabled the Philippine Army to accomplish its mission of defeating the adversaries of the state right in their strongholds and foster lasting peace and progress with the neutralization of several high-ranking leaders and members and the recovery of their mass bases. Most recently, we have participated in the AFP Joint Exercise Dagit Pa 05-21 and in the Philippine Air Force and Philippine Army interoperability exercise, which have increased our synergy in conducting joint operations. We have also placed high premium on the various international defense and security engagements with our military counterparts in the Indo-Pacific region, such as the Philippines-United States exercise Salaknib, and to optimize and strengthen our operational capabilities. Of course, our momentous gains against the enemy are accredited to our continuous convergence with our stakeholders. We also continue to practice the whole-of-nation approach with the de-radicalization program and with the rehabilitation and reintegration of former rebels to the mainstream of our society. Further, we have also fostered our partnerships with St. Luke's Medical Center, Bounty Agro Ventures Incorporated, and the Philippine Coconut Authority, among others, for the benefit of all our personnel, their dependents, and those who are separating and retiring from the service. To ensure public accountability and transparency, as well as good governance in the Army, we have engaged with our multi-sectoral advisory board members and committees whose vital role as the Army's reliable accountability partners is crucial in monitoring our performance in our transformational journey. And may I request the members of the Army MSAB to kindly stand up to be recognized. In the aftermath of Typhoon Odette last December 2021, we have helped and responded to the call of our kababayans through the delivery of relief donations and conducted rescue operations alongside our Army Reserve Force components. We have provided aid and assisted the affected communities, and we have also contributed to the reconstruction and rehabilitation efforts in typhoon-hit areas. As part of our Team AFP, we have gained the Filipino people's high public trust rating with a net satisfaction rating of positive 70 and a net trust rating of positive 71, based on the latest Social Weather Station survey last December 2021. Certainly, our people's confidence in our institution is credited to the unparalleled service of our personnel who proudly stand as our nation's champions of peace. As servant soldiers, we epitomize the virtues of servant leadership and as encapsulated in the acronym SERVE. While we pursue these trusts, we will focus on the standing order of our Commander-in-Chief to end the local armed conflict before the culmination of his term. On that note, let me express my profound gratitude to our Commander-in-Chief, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, and to the Secretary of National Defense, the Honorable Delphine Negrillo Lorenzana, for their resolute confidence and firm conviction in the Philippine Army. On behalf of the more than 100,000 strong officers, enlisted personnel, and civilian human resource of the Philippine Army, my wholehearted appreciation to all Filipinos for your faith and trust in your Philippine Army. Thus, please know that you, our kababayans, are the main priority in our service. We will always strive to live up to your expectations with loyalty and integrity. With our 125 years of working together, let us all give our former leaders, officers, enlisted personnel, civilian human resource, and our partners a round of applause. Indeed, with the full support of everyone, we are looking forward to many successful years ahead. Finally, as one team army, let us continue to remain victorious over the enemies of the state, cultivate the path towards lasting peace and sustainable progress, and ultimately serve as the formidable and reliable army of the Filipino nation. Muli, maligayang ika-125 anibersaryo, mabuhay ang mga magigiting na kawal at kawani ng ating hukbong katihan ng Pilipinas, mabuhay ang Republika ng Pilipinas. Magandang hapon po at maraming salamat.
Thank you very much to the Commanding General of the Philippine Army, Lieutenant General Romes Browner Jr., sir. On the occasion of the 125th founding anniversary of the Philippine Army, let us now take a glimpse on the Philippine Army's glorious past, its present triumphs and struggles, and what it intends to be in the future. May we invite your attention on the screens, ladies and gentlemen.
Peace, as a prerequisite to mutual survival and community development, is vehemently longed for by every human being. In securing peace, warriors were created to protect the community and deter aggressors, that in their dutiful sacrifice and commitment has become heroes and inspiration. This is the story of your Philippine Army. Our heritage of valor, gallantry, courage, and compassion has long been recorded. Evident in the warrior spirit of our ancestors across the archipelago. Our tradition of gallantry has been tested in significant battles with organized Filipino fighters. After 3 centuries of Spanish rule over the country, the Filipinos have become restive, clamoring for reforms and an end to the oppressive colonial rule. The founding of the Katipunan in 1896 and the outbreak of hostilities between the Katipuneros and Spaniards paved the way for the birth of the Philippine Revolutionary Government and its army on March 22, 1897. This signaled a history of providing invaluable service to the country's defense across the next century. The Philippine Army's history has been filled with bitter struggles for independence. Nevertheless, after each conflict, it has come out with renewed strength and wisdom. It continued to play a significant role in the pursuit of peace. The Philippine Expeditionary Force to Korea in 1952, the counterinsurgency operations against the pro-communist Hukbalahap in 1954, and the mission of peace in the form of the Philippine Civic Action Group in the 1960s in Vietnam, among others. In the recent years, the AFP's premier branch of service accomplished various noteworthy feats, including the activation of Special Operations Command in 1996, the All-Out War in 2000, the Zamboanga Siege in 2015, and the liberation of Marawi in 2017. Moreover, as emphasis of the gallantry of the courageous soldiers of the Philippine Army, 27 medals of valor have been awarded to those who gave everything above and beyond the call of duty. Today, as champions of peace, the Philippine Army inherits the warrior legacy of fighting for peace and liberty with honor, patriotism, and duty. More than just for freedom and sovereignty, the Philippine Army fights to uphold the primacy of peace. Hence, despite its lethal capability, it has extended the laurel leaf to former adversaries and remains to be strongly committed in fulfilling its traditional and non-traditional roles, fully aware that nation building is a shared responsibility. Under the present administration, the whole-of-nation approach was institutionalized to address the armed conflict. Today, the national government continues its hard and soft approach, hard being the continued conduct of focused joint security operations to neutralize armed members of the communist terrorist groups. Soft approach pertaining to the parallel efforts of sustainable development and information operations, calling on members to peacefully return to the government fold. Across the country, guerrilla fronts have been dismantled and continue to weaken. Security operations have tightened their maneuver space, and recruitment to the ranks has significantly diminished, while thousands of former rebels are now integrating back into mainstream society. Through the years, the Philippine Army has continued to build its reputation as soldiers for the heart. Amid chaos, it has remained to be among the first to respond to mitigate the dire aftermath of calamities. Beyond the call of duty, Army soldiers have significantly contributed to the restoration of devastated communities. With the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Philippine Army has crafted the Contingency Plan Corona, which outlines the organization's approach to address the pandemic, to preserve the force, for them to continue performing their mandate. With 125 years in counting, the Philippine Army continues to transform, putting premium on the development of both its personnel and material, continuously raising its capabilities to be responsive to the various challenges of the multidimensional operational environment, meaning in the present and transforming to be future ready. The Army Transformation Roadmap. The Philippine Army continues to develop strategy-driven systems and processes, craft programs and innovations to raise unit capability, and highlight initiatives that promote individual development. As part of its effort towards future readiness and adaptability, the Philippine Army stays committed to the morale and welfare of its human resource, believing that every soldier is essentially an individual weapon system, a fighter, his force protection equipment, and the weapons at his disposal, providing the best training that will give them the edge of survival on the battlefield remains a priority. With the aim of helping Army soldiers fight the silent wars, the Philippine Army has continued to advocate for the soldiers' mental well-being with the launching of the physical and mental health hygiene modalities. The Philippine Army has also initiated programs and activities to achieve gender equality and women empowerment within the organization. Determined to continue spreading its wings, anchored in a rich aviation history, the Philippine Army activated its Raya Regiment that is now investing in raising its capabilities to effectively support ground forces in combat and non-combat operations. With the Philippine Army Force Design Framework, the future force structure shall be framed following the required Philippine Army capability requirements that will be employed to execute operating concepts to support the armed forces of the Philippines mission. This is your Philippine Army, a capable, joint-ready, and combined armed force that integrates its capabilities to effectively and efficiently execute its mandate in various operational domains. To the legacies of the past as a guide, and the present situation giving so much room for learning, the Philippine Army continuously evolves as a world-class army, ready to adapt and face the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the video presentation on the Warriors and Heroes 125 Years of Championing Peace. In a short while, we'll proceed with the presentation of awards.
Mga taong pangaramalon at ang mga watawat, umarap at tumabit na.
Awards and decorations are tangible proofs of heroic acts, display of skills, competency, and excellence. The commendable performance is recognized with the presentation of awards.
Destacamento Pasulong Cut!
Army units, military personnel, reservists, and civilian human resource, as well as stakeholders, will be presented with awards. Awardees are requested to join the color detail on the ground.
No! Ang mga taong pararangalan at ang mga watawat ay narito na po. Ando! Salam!
Please stand for the honors to the nation.
Ating unang tawag. Ang hap! Ah!
kayanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay, lupang hinirang, tuyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupi, di ka pasisiin, sa dagat at bundok, sa simay at sa langit mong bagaw, may ilagang tula at awis sa paglayang minamahal, ang isap ng mataw at may tagumpay na naglilingin, ang bituin at araw na kailan pa may di magdidilim, lupa ng araw ng walhati pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Amin ligaya ng pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Kunan. Mga tawad. Buka.
Please be seated.
Da. Dala. Alis.
Awards will now be presented. For the first set of awardees are stakeholders. The stakeholders will be presented with command plaques. They will also be presented with the Kapayapaan para sa Lahat sculpture, a limited edition artwork that embodies the aspiration of the Philippine Army to attain enduring peace across the land. It is represented by a soldier and 3 children garbed in traditional Ifugao tribal wear, which represent Luzon, Camisa de Chino and hijab, or Visayas and Mindanao, respectively. This sculpture is a token for meaningful partnership and contribution to the organizational and capability development of the Philippine Army, leading to operational effectiveness and efficiency in winning the peace. Well, the guest of honor, Secretary Delphine N. Lorenzana, Department of National Defense, is requested for the presentation of awards to be assisted by the Commanding General, Philippine Army. For having contributed to the Philippine Army's personnel and doctrine development in the area of gender sensitivities and growth, while also strengthening the Philippine Army's efforts of implementing gender-responsive programs, projects, and activities annually that resulted in a significant increase to the Philippine Army's gender and development accomplishment to 14.14% for fiscal year 2021 as compared to 5.34% in fiscal year 2020. The command plaque in Kapayapaan para sa Lahat sculpture is awarded to Philippine Commission on Women through Ms. Sandra S. Montaño, the Philippine Commission on Women chairperson. For having contributed to the Philippine Army's personnel development, specifically on transition assistance program and the establishment of a facility for sustainable livelihood option for retiring soldiers, as it also offered agribusiness to retiring Army personnel and their dependents under its project, Kawan, Kabuhayan para sa Kawal ng Bayan. Well, of course, the command plaque and Kapayapaan para sa Lahat sculpture is awarded to Bounty Agro Ventures Incorporated. To receive the award, we have Mr. Ronald Mascareñas, the president of BAVI, or the Bounty Agro Ventures Incorporated. For having contributed to the Philippine Army's personnel care on facility development, specifically on force protection against COVID-19 by donating RT-PCR machines and other special equipment to the Philippine Army Molecular Laboratory. The donation enhanced the Philippine Army's testing capacity, allowing the Philippine Army to preserve its forces while continuously carrying out COVID-19 mitigation efforts. The Command Plaque and Kapayapaan para sa Lahat sculpture is being awarded to Asian Development Bank. To receive the award, we have Mr. Gerard P. Marin, the ADB Security Advisor. For having contributed to the Philippine Army's personnel care on facility development, specifically on force protection against COVID-19 by donating 2 modular units that were converted into 10 isolation rooms. Since its construction, the modular facility accommodated several patients, thereby addressing shortage of ideal and comfortable isolation facility for moderate to severe cases of COVID-19. The Command Plaque and Kapayapaan para sa Lahat sculpture is awarded to Armed Forces and Police Mutual Benefit Association Incorporated. We have Major General Rizaldo B. Limoso, Philippine Army retired President and CEO of AFP-MBAI, receiving the award. For having contributed to the Philippine Army's personnel development, training, and promotion of the Philippine Army's modernization program, specifically on the Reserve Force development. Through his influence, he contributed to the Reserve Force recruitment, which is one of the main components on the force structure build-up of the Philippine Army. The Command Plaque and Kapayapaan para sa Lahat sculpture is awarded to First Lieutenant Ronnie D.G. Liang, Philippine Army Reserve. For the next set of awardees consists of Army personnel, reservists, ROTC cadets, and civilian human resource. For eminently meritorious and invaluable service rendered in a position of major responsibility as commanding officer of the 67th Infantry Battalion, 10th Infantry Division, Philippine Army, during the implementation of 2 implants that simultaneously neutralized enemies in the red and white areas of Sub-Regional Committee 1, Southern Mindanao Regional Committee. The Distinguished Service Star is awarded to Lieutenant Colonel Louis G. De Maala, O-12757 Infantry Joint Staff Corps, Philippine Army. For eminently meritorious and invaluable service rendered in a position of major responsibility as the Chief of Staff, 8th Infantry Division, Philippine Army, who provided steady watch in the implementation of the campaign plan Abante Eastern Visayas that successfully dismantled various guerrilla fronts and reduction of the communist terrorist capabilities. The Distinguished Service Medal is awarded to Colonel Perfecto P. Peña Redondo, O-10595, Master in National Security Administration, Infantry, Philippine Army. For gallantry in action while serving as platoon leader of Scout Platoon, 52nd Infantry Battalion, 8th Infantry Division, Philippine Army, during an encounter against 70 communist terrorists at Barangay Osmeña, Dolores, Eastern Samar, which resulted to the neutralization of 20 enemies, recovery of several high-powered firearms, anti-personnel mines, and subversive documents. The Gold Cross Medal is awarded to Second Lieutenant R.J. T. Rebultan, ODS 153196, Military Intelligence, Philippine Army. For gallantry in action as Platoon Leader, Alpha Company 25th Infantry Battalion, Philippine Army, during an encounter against 12 heavily armed communist terrorists at Barangay Libudon, Mabini, Davao de Oro, which resulted in neutralizing Menandro Villanueva alias Bok, third Vice Chairman of the Communist Party of the Philippines, recovery of several high-powered firearms and subversive documents. The Gold Cross Medal is awarded to Second Lieutenant Elierte G. Berdin, ODS 153490, Infantry, Philippine Army. For gallantry in action while serving as Platoon Sergeant, Scout Platoon 2nd Infantry Battalion, 9th Infantry Division, Philippine Army, during the successful conduct of joint combat operations at Barangay Anas, Masbate City, against 30 communist terrorists, which resulted to the neutralization of 3 enemies, recovering several high-powered firearms, anti-personnel mines, and subversive documents. The Gold Cross Medal is awarded to Staff Sergeant Angelo C. Cernichez, 859150, Infantry, Philippine Army. For eminently meritorious and invaluable achievement as Commanding Officer of the 2nd Intelligence and Security Unit, Army Intelligence Regiment, Philippine Army, through the implementation of holistic approach in intelligence operations that significantly degraded the capability of the Comiteng Rehiyon Cagayan Valley through the neutralization of its leaders and armed group. The Silver Cross Medal is awarded to Major Christopher L. Cuenca, ODS 15011, Military Intelligence, Philippine Army. For eminently meritorious and invaluable achievement as member of the 8th Intelligence and Security Unit, Army Intelligence Regiment, Philippine Army, through the crafting of intelligence packet that led to the government-initiated encounter in the Samar Province, resulting to the neutralization of 18 enemies and the recovery of several high-powered firearms and subversive documents. The Silver Cross Medal is awarded to Staff Sergeant Wilson N. Kalutan, 857889, Military Intelligence, Philippine Army. For eminently meritorious and invaluable achievement as the lead planner in the crafting and publication of the Philippine Army Future Force Structure 2034 that sets the direction of organizational development to address external and internal threats and perform operations other than war. The Meritorious Achievement Medal is awarded to Colonel Romel R. Cordova, ODS 11173, Master in National Security Administration, Infantry, Philippine Army. For eminently meritorious and invaluable achievement as member of the 9th Installation Management Battalion, Installation Management Command, Philippine Army, through the participation in the service of planning, negotiations, and dialogues to secure pertinent documents that led to the successful transfer of land title of 14,335 square meters of military reservation in Camarines Sur to the Armed Forces of the Philippines. The Meritorious Achievement Medal is awarded to Technical Sergeant Elvis C. Brugada, 810108, Infantry, Philippine Army. In recognition of his outstanding achievement as member of the 12th Intelligence and Security Unit, Army Intelligence Regiment, Philippine Army, by providing timely and accurate intelligence to operating troops that significantly weaken the Dawla Islamiyah leadership in the Philippines and foil any terror attempts. The command plaque for the Best Enlisted Personnel of the Year is presented to Sergeant Genesis S. Jumento, 891258, Military Intelligence, Philippine Army. In recognition of his outstanding performance of duty and display of heroism during combat operations in Masbate City that led to the neutralization of 5 communist terrorists and the recovery of various firearms, explosives, medical supplies, laptops, and cell phones with high intelligence value. The command plaque for the Best CAFGU Active Auxiliary of the Year is presented to CAFGU Active Auxiliary Jovert M. Lacaba, MS-G21000082, Philippine Army. In recognition of her outstanding contribution in various community outreach programs amidst the COVID-19 pandemic and the aftermath of Typhoon Odette, and by being hailed as the most outstanding COVID-19 volunteer in the Caraga region, the command plaque for the Best Reservist Officer of the Year is presented to Lieutenant Colonel Maria Teresa P. Bailon, Philippine Army Reserve. In recognition of her outstanding contribution in various community outreach programs amidst the COVID-19 pandemic and the aftermath of Typhoon Odette, and by being instrumental in the successful establishment of the first barangay and municipal evacuation and mobilization centers in Agusan del Sur, the command plaque for the Best Reservist Enlisted of the Year is presented to Sergeant Sheila O. Pehi, AS-R20-001208, Philippine Army Reserve. In recognition of his active participation in non-traditional roles of the Armed Forces of the Philippines in various civil military operations activities, such as the creation of community garden, tree planting, and medical missions, and by being hailed as one of the most active Sangguniang Kabataan chairpersons in the municipality of Boac. The command plaque for the Best Male ROTC Cadet of the Year is presented to Cadet Colonel Florencio L. Marquez, First Class. In recognition of her outstanding performance that is manifested by her numerous military and civilian awards, and by being hailed as one of the outstanding ROTC officers during the ROTC Summit at Camp Aguinaldo, Quezon City, the command plaque for the Best Female ROTC Cadet of the Year is presented to Cadet Colonel Ayla G. Mutia, First Class. In recognition of its outstanding performance of duty by supervising the implementation of the Philippine Army-wide history training program that includes military history writing seminars, Philippine Army Historians Convention, and history outreach programs, and by being instrumental in the publication of the Philippine Army Heraldry Handbook, The command plaque for the Model Supervisor of the Year is presented to Mr. Emeterio A. Ornedo Jr., Master in Public Administration. In recognition of her outstanding devotion to duty by coordinating with various social groups for support to augment the meager resource of personal protective equipment and food packs for nurses during the enhanced community quarantine period, and by actively imparting learning as subject matter expert for various in-service trainings of the Philippine Army Nursing Service. The command plaque for the Model Employee of the Year is presented to Ms. Gina M. Parazo, a registered nurse. This time, the next set of awardees will be presented with the Commanding General Philippine Army Streamer Award. This is in recognition of the efforts of our unit, especially that decisively inflicted major setbacks to the enemy of the state. For their decisive engagement that resulted to 17 high-powered firearms captured, 1 enemy neutralized, and numerous war materials seized, the Commanding General Philippine Army Streamer is hereby awarded to the following units: 2nd Infantry 2nd to None Battalion, (903rd Infantry Patriot Brigade), and the 9th Infantry Spear Division, Philippine Army. For their decisive engagement that resulted to 30 high-powered firearms captured, 21 enemies neutralized, and numerous war materials seized, the Commanding General Philippine Army Streamer is hereby awarded to the following units: 52nd Infantry Catch M Battalion, (801st Infantry Bantayat Gabay Brigade), and the 8th Infantry Stormtrooper Division, Philippine Army. For their decisive engagement that resulted to 16 high-powered firearms captured, 14 enemies neutralized, and numerous war material seized. The Commanding General Philippine Army Streamer is hereby awarded to the following units: 88th Infantry Maringal Battalion, or 3rd Infantry Peacemaker Brigade, and 4th Infantry Diamond Division, Philippine Army. For being one of the units involved in the decisive engagement of 403rd Infantry Brigade and its major engagements and significant accomplishments in a series of combat operations in support to 402nd, 403rd, 901st, and 1001st Infantry Brigades campaign that resulted to 36 high-powered firearms captured, 26 enemies neutralized, including key communist terrorist group leaders in its area of operations, and numerous war material seized. The Commanding General Philippine Army Streamer is awarded to 2nd Scout Ranger 2nd to None Battalion of the 1st Scout Ranger Regiment, Philippine Army. For the unit's relentless combat operations with 41 combat encounters and other military operations in support of 403rd Infantry Brigade's campaign that resulted in the dismantling of an entire sub-regional command, 2 guerrilla fronts, and 1 sub-regional Centro de Gravidad company, 80 high-powered firearms captured, 78 enemies neutralized, and numerous war material seized. The Commanding General Philippine Army Streamer is awarded to 1st Special Forces Hunter Killer Battalion of the Special Forces Regiment Airborne, Philippine Army. For their decisive engagement that resulted to 16 enemies neutralized, 4 high-powered firearms captured, and numerous war material seized. The Commanding General Philippine Army Streamer is hereby awarded to the following units: 61st Infantry Hunter Battalion, Three of 1st Infantry Bayanihan Brigade, and 3rd Infantry Spearhead Division, Philippine Army. for a very decisive engagement resulting in the capture of 45 high-powered firearms, 9 enemies neutralized, and numerous war materials seized. The Commanding General Philippine Army Streamer is hereby awarded to the 5th Infantry Duty-Bound Battalion. '51st Infantry Fuerte Uno o Fuerte Uno Battalion. '55th Infantry Vigilant Battalion. One 103rd Infantry Haribon Brigade. And the 1st Infantry Tabak Division, Philippine Army. Well, thank you very much to the Secretary, Department of National Defense, and to the Commanding General, Philippine Army. To all the awardees, congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a big hand for all the awardees?
Lipunan. Handa. Jalan. Alis. Watawat. Lumalulit. Lipunan. Patulog. Pag. Lipunan. Go.
Sa ating pagpapahalaga sa mga pagpapakasakit at sakripisyo ng ating mga kasundaluhan, maging inspirasyon nawa sila upang ipagpatuloy ang pagsusulong sa magkaisang hangaring kapayapaan para sa lahat na siyang magbubunsod tungo sa pagbabago at kaunlaran. Ladies and gentlemen, to introduce the guest of honor and speaker, we have the Commanding General, Philippine Army, Lieutenant General Romes Browner Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you our guest of honor and speaker for the 125th founding anniversary of the Philippine Army. He is a proud member of the PMA Maaga class of 1973 and the 36th Secretary of National Defense. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Delphine Negrillo Lorenzana.
Wala yung tikas. Walang tikas pa rin.
Bakit?
Wala.
Bakit pa rin? Kasi sila?
Yes.
Please sit down. Can I, with the permission of the Commanding General, can I turn around this podium? Lieutenant General Romeo Browner, the Commanding General of the Philippine Army, and wife Mrs. Melody Mariel, and the mother-in-law of General Browner, Lieutenant General Erickson Gloria, the Vice Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, Secretary Anyo of the ILG, Secretary Esteron, the National Security Advisor, Cabinet Secretaries, Undersecretaries, and other dignitaries present who were previously introduced. Former Commanding Generals of the Philippine Army, led by the most senior there, I think it's Lieutenant General Jaime de los Santos. Good to see you. Chiefs of law enforcement agencies, Philippine Army units, commanders, unit commanders, general officers, foreign armed forces and defense attaches who are here. Kindly stand up, please, so that I can see you. My wife, Edith Lorenzana. Awardees, stakeholders, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am happy to celebrate with you this 125th founding anniversary of the Philippine Army, the premier service of the AFP. As a former Army officer, it gives me great pride and pleasure to see how the institution has transformed over the years. I still remember in 1997, during the 100th anniversary of the Philippine Army, I was the G1 of the Philippine Army, and we published a book. We call it The First 100 Years. Time flies fast, and now we are 25 years hence. I congratulate the Philippine Army's leadership, officers, enlisted personnel, and civilians, employees on this major milestone. Your anniversary theme, Kapayapaan para sa Lahat, speaks volumes of what the Philippine Army has accomplished since it was founded in 1897. Your organization has always been instrumental in fostering an environment for inclusive, peace, and sustainable development. Guided by the core values of honor, patriotism, and duty, our forces have stood against insurgency and terrorism, which have disrupted the lives of many Filipinos. As national security also encompasses safety from the perils of natural disasters and effects of poverty, the Philippine Army has assumed a bigger role in humanitarian assistance and disaster response. Through a whole of government and whole of nation approach, it has also been supportive of development efforts efforts, especially in impoverished communities. This multifaceted mission is marked by the accomplishments of the Philippine Army in the past year. For one, its sustained combat operations resulted in the further weakening of the communist terrorist and local terrorist groups in the country. Every day, I think Secretary Anyo, General Esperon, we have this viral group of all the unit commanders, and at a glance, we see how the armed forces is doing. And we were amazed at the success of all the units operating in the field, especially the 10th Infantry Division, East Mincom, and lately also in, just give him a hand, give a hand. The 10th Infantry Division was actually instrumental in capturing or neutralizing high-value targets of the CPP and PA in that region. And likewise, hindi na rin nagpapahuli yung ibang divisions. Our troops successfully neutralized thousands of enemy personalities, including high-value individuals, and significantly depleted the resources with the capture of firearms, thousands of firearms, war material, and subversive documents. You have seen in the video a while ago the pictures of the captured firearms by our units. As a result, the Philippines is now closer to its goal of lasting and sustainable peace. I still remember, I think Secretary Esperon and Secretary Anyo remember, maybe 4 years ago when the President told us, tapusin na natin ito. Huwag na natin ipamana sa susunod na administrasyon. And so we worked hard. We crafted the EO 70 that gave birth to the NTF LCAT, which is actually the best campaign plan or method that we have devised for a long time. So because of that, we are closer. But up until 3 months ago, when at the start of this year, we were hoping that we can finish the job, but it's a tall order because the enemy is deeply embedded in all the sectors of the society, and it takes a little bit more time to neutralize them. The Philippine Army was also at the forefront of the national government's COVID-19 response over the past year. We have employed our nurses, our doctors all over the country, especially in the Visayas, and some of the frontliners, those who are enforcing the minimum public health standards in the city or any other city that they are needed, were also deployed. It has also provided relief for victims of Typhoon Odette in December 2021, together with other services of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Our Army troops in Visayas and Mindanao assisted the typhoon victims in the recovery. Now, I think this is a very good synergy of the services, because all the services were utilized during the typhoon, aftermath of the Typhoon Odette. Of course, the ground forces were there. Even before the typhoon struck, andun na sila. Nakahanda na sila. And after that, we used the, of course, the helicopters, the ship. In fact, the Pangulo ship of the presidential yacht was sent by the president to Siargao to become a hospital ship. The Philippine Army was also, excuse me. Indeed, the Army is more than just a military institution. It has become a reliable and responsive partner of the Filipino people during calamities and national emergencies and during peaceful times. As we celebrate your successes and accomplishments, I congratulate the 65th Commanding General of the Philippine Army, Lieutenant General Romeo Bronner Jr., and all the commanding generals before him, and also the division commanders before and present, who steered the Philippine Army to where it is now, a world-class army that is source of national pride. Palakpan natin. Slowly, we are moving towards that goal. In fact, the transformation of the Philippine Army has been phenomenal since I was here. I was in the service and I left in 2004. Marami na tayong nagawa, and we are sustaining that. The next phase, actually, in our modernization is to improve the capacity of our people to operate the new technologies that we are acquiring. Hindi pwede yung mag-acquire ka ng bagong teknolohiya pero hindi mo naman turuan yung mga tao, useless lang yun. Sustain your fervor in serving the Filipino people with passion and dedication. Your commitment will be critical in the next few months as the term of the President Duterte is coming to an end. That is June 30 of this year. Strive to deliver the promises of the administration and finish the plans we made 5.5 years ago. You know, one of the directive that I gave before is for the units in field to secure the equipment of those contractors who are in the forefront of our infrastructure development, yung build program ni Presidente. I've called the attention of some commanders when some of the equipment in their areas were burned. Continue building upon your competencies and learn from your experiences. Cultivate your harmonious working relationships with our peace partners, as our convergence with them is the key in keeping the trust of the people. Kasi again, maintaining and keeping the trust of the people. Balance your mission accomplishment with upholding the morale and welfare of the troops. Every time I go around and talk to the troops, I always mention the professionalism of the troops, proper decorum, looking after the morale and welfare of our troops. That is the duty of the commander. As this is the last anniversary I am celebrating with you as the 10th Secretary, allow me to thank the entire service, especially our troops on the ground, for your priceless and tireless service in the past 5.5 years. My term would not have been productive and successful if not for your rock-solid support. Alam nyo, I'm very lucky to be here as the Secretary of Defense, and I have very good people working with me. You're not working for me or under me, you are working with me. And not only the Philippine Army, but the whole armed forces, including the Philippine Air Force and the Philippine Navy. My earnest hope is for us to sustain our gains and finish strong under the present administration. Maraming salamat. Mabuhay ang Philippine Army. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas. At this point, let us listen to the recorded video greeting of our highly esteemed guest. I am honored to introduce to you our President and Commander-in-Chief, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
My warmest greetings to the Philippine Army. I'd like to celebrate your 125th founding anniversary. To all of you who continue to display courage, selflessness, and heroism in pursuit of national security, I salute you. Let this occasion renew your passion to serve and protect our people and communities. As together we can build a more harmonious country for all Filipinos. Again, happy anniversary at mabuhay kayong lahat.
Well, thank you very much, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Well, meantime, a memento will now be presented to the guest of honor and speaker. We'd like to request, of course, Secretary Delphine L. Lorenzana, sir, as the memento will be presented by the Commanding General, Philippine Army. The memento, the modern Filipino soldier, or makabagong kawal. A symbol of the modern, disciplined, and professional Filipino Army soldier committed to protecting his people and securing the sovereignty of the land. The modern Filipino soldier statuette is presented to Secretary Delphine L. Lorenzana, Department of National Defense. Thank you, sirs. We shall proceed with the passing review.
Cut. Masa. Masih. Harap. Lapangan. Harap. Handa! Dala! Utot! Talupad! Ulang talupad! Pasulong! Cut!
Ladies and gentlemen, as we take a glimpse on the parade of colors, let us ponder on this year's anniversary theme, Kapayapaan para sa lahat. The Philippine Army takes pride with what have been achieved in the past year. It will continue to work on and contribute in pursuit of peace for the Filipino people and the whole nation. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you the colors of the major units of the Philippine Army, contributing to the overall peace, progress, and development of the entire archipelago. Leading the parading contingent is Lieutenant Colonel Jamal N. Monza. His staff, we have Major Fabian Ranit of San Rafael, Bulacan, Major Jimson Duhenio Malagasang, Imus, Cavite, Major Dario Arbotante Jr., Sitio Mahayahay, Barangay Apa, Cebu City, and Major Alhamza Kuwit of Barangay Buhay na Tubig, Imus, Cavite. Following is the Philippine Army Band under the baton of Staff Sergeant Emmanuel C. Detaza. The 1st Platoon in Gala White, led by First Lieutenant Arturo Satur Malvar, Misamis Occidental. The colors consist of the Unit colors from the headquarters Philippine Army and the major units from Luzon, and a handful from Visayas and Mindanao being carried by the soldiers from the Security and Escort Battalion. The colors are composed of the 4 functional commands: Installation Management Command, Army Support Command, Training and Doctrine Command, Army Reserve Command, Special Operations Unit, Special Enabler Units, and the PA-wide Service Support and Separate Units. The 2nd Platoon in Villa Rayadillo, still from the Security and Escort Battalion, under First Lieutenant James G. Santos of Camarin, Caloocan City, comprised of the colors from the units in Southern, Northern, and Central Luzon. These are the ground operating units and combat service support, or the combat support units. While the Philippine Army has been a beacon of hope and progress, it has contributed to strengthening Filipino institutions, communities, and individuals by advocating for personal governance and by rebuilding itself into an organization loved by the people. The audience is requested to rise for the passing of the national color. Thank you. Please be seated. Next, we have the soldiers in their black suit uniform from the 1st Scout Ranger Regiment, led by 2nd Lieutenant Benedict B. Pedregal of Pototan, Iloilo, carrying with them the colors from the Visayas-based units. These are comprised of engineering brigades, ground operating units, armor and artillery units, and a special operations unit. With utmost commitment in pursuit of lasting peace, the Philippine Army will brave all odds head-on and will stand for a tranquil life for the people whom it serves. This time, we have the soldiers in their tiger suit from the Special Forces Regiment Airborne, headed by 2nd Lieutenant Constante Sugitan III of Mataas na Kahoy, Batangas, carrying the colors of ground operating units from the Visayas and mostly from Mindanao-based units, with armor and artillery units and a special operations unit. The Philippine Army will remain steadfast and unyielding towards the achievement of its goal in serving the people and securing the land. Please all stand for the awit kawal.
Buhay kawal ng ating bayan, giting ay tinataglay. Sa oras na ako'y kinailangan, nakahandang ihadlang ang buhay. Tapang namin ay napatunayan sa gubat at larangan. Luzon, Mindanao at Visayas man, sa Bataan, Korea at Vietnam. Buong loob na lumulusog, kalasag ng matatag na republika. Pulot pawis ay di alintana, sa kasamay laking tiwala. Tatag ng kawalay, lakas ng bansa, kaya palaging maghanda. Sa katunggali makikibaka, pagkat mahal namin ang bandila. Buong loob na lumulusog, kalasag ng matatag na republika. Punot pawis ay di alintana, sa kasamay laking tiwala. Tatag ng kawalay, lakas ng bansa, kaya palaging maghanda. Sa katunggali magkikibaka, pagkat mahal namin ang bandila.
The Troop Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Jamal N. Bonza, will report the termination of the ceremony.
Ino! Tapos na po ang pagpatangal. Kapunan, ang tabay talong. Alis! Saksak! Baba! Harap sa kanan. Harap. Pasulong. Cut!
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the ceremony in celebration of the Philippine Army's 125th founding anniversary. We would like to thank you all for your presence. Keep safe and stay healthy. Always observe health protocols. Sa ating lahat na bumubuo ng Hukbong Katihan ng Pilipinas, maligayang anibersaryo at mabuhay! Meantime, I'd like to invite our distinguished guests for some refreshments at the Philippine Army Officers Club. Thank you.